Good afternoon, everybody. How are you? Hello, my name's Kevin Medea, and I'm with Snelling Business Systems. I was going to talk to you about a project we actually won an award for last night, the Innovate Award for Medical Project of the Year. So we were using the SDVoE technology, the ZeeVee product. So they've invited us here to share it with you. So I'll just give you a little quick run through about what the project was. This is more of a specialty application. We're not talking a huge amount of channel count, but what we're talking about is an interesting application of it. So the project was for the Quadram Institute, which is in Norfolk, or Norwich, Norfolk, England. So it's in the eastern part of the country. It's basically a joint venture between the Quadram Institute of Biosciences, the University of East Anglia Faculty of Science, and also the Norwich University Medical School. Okay, this is a regional, actually, so it's got two functions. It's a teaching facility, three functions: teaching facility, research facility, and also actually a diagnostic facility. So if you need an endoscope procedure, they do about 40,000 of them a year there. So as part of the National Health Service. So our challenge was, because they're doing so many of these procedures, and a lot of those are specialized, we needed to have a place where you could not only have the treatment, but also train people to deliver the treatment. And that was the function that we were providing for them, is a training facility to allow clinicians to interact and watch actual procedures. So what we did is, this is a typical endoscopic suite. This arrangement of equipment there is basically all the endoscope and its control systems. We'll talk about that. And then a display for the clinicians. So that's a typical suite. What we needed to do is develop a two-way video and audio link to allow students and other healthcare professionals to watch these procedures and also interact with the people providing those procedures. So this room was linked over the 4K video links over the 10 gig Ethernet networks to seminar or lecture theaters. Okay, so you have a group of people sitting in there. They'd be able to watch the procedure. And as you can see here, there was basically 4 types of feeds. Actually, it's really 3. So you'd have, obviously, the view from the end of the endoscope. What is that looking at when it's inside the patient? You had a feed coming from what they call the endoscope or endoscopic guide. And what this is actually the tip of the endoscope has a little magnet on it. They'll put it looks like a blanket over you, but what it is a sensor array. And that actually 3D triangulates where that endoscope is inside your body. So it's like a little map. Yeah, they kind of know where you're going because it's one pipe in and one pipe out, but they don't want you to, the endoscope to get stuck or twisted. So that's what that's for. And then we also had a camera, a PTZ camera with presets in there that allowed the viewers basically to see what was happening in the procedure. Okay, so they could either see it as a close-up or a wide-angle view, for instance. This is important because the trick with or using an endoscope is how do you manipulate the thing to get it to where you want to go. So that's what they're really trying to teach people. So basically what we had is we used ZeeVee's Zyper 4K encoders. You guys will know that's uncompressed 4K over a 10 gigabit Ethernet network. And these were actually used for the cameras, both in the procedures room and also in the lecture theaters, because the people presenting the information can actually see the audience, and then also the 2 endoscopic outputs. There was also a couple of room plates, so if somebody needed to bring in another piece of equipment, or maybe even a PC, they could plug it in. Network, we used NETGEAR switches. We needed a modular switch because that would allow us to actually provide maximum flexibility or expandability in the future. And the nice thing about the NETGEAR is basically pre-configured to work with the Zyper 4K. So we didn't have to mess around too much with multicast. We found in our experience, most network engineers are quite comfortable putting in an enterprise level switch, but when it comes to doing multicast configuration, that's where it gets tricky. It's not something they normally do. Yeah? Guys that run broadcast switches, they kind of understand multicast. Just something to keep aware of. Decoders then, we had, again, the Zyper 4K switches, and this is all over, as I said, 10 gig fiber. So, why did we use this technology? Why were we using SDVoE? Biggest thing, believe it or not, is the multi-view aspect of it. So with one decoder, we could look at multiple feeds from the encoders. And this was important in this application because you wanted to show on one screen to a room like this what's in the endoscope looking at, where is it from the endoscopic view, and what is the operator doing with it. Normally, in the old-fashioned days, we'd have to decode each one of those feeds and then put it through some signal processor and add another piece of equipment, another piece of complexity. Using this technology, it happens in the decoder. Absolutely brilliant. It was a key factor in why we went with this technology. So that's reason one. Reason two, image quality, right? We're talking uncompressed up to 4K. We're talking medical, right? They don't want compression. We don't want artifacts. Yeah, they might think the artifact is, a malignant cell, okay? Medical, we want pixel to pixel resolution, and we want proper color reproduction as well. So anything that used the 1 gig or kind of compression was putting artifacts in. We don't want that. So image quality, latency, two-way communication, right? You remember in the VC days, you can handle about 200 milliseconds of delay to carry on a conversation, okay? That's far too much for this. This is 100 microseconds, no problem, no latency. Wasn't an issue, didn't have to do anything about it, made the design and implementation much easier for us. Number 4, medical galvanic isolation. Okay, we're taking something that's plugged into the wall and putting it inside your body. Okay? You need to have medical certification. You need to make sure that it meets those specifications. Very important. Certainly with the Zyper 4K, you can get medical certified units. Okay? This application, absolutely critical. 5th reason, I think I've alluded to this a couple of times, the deployment was easy for us. Because the NETGEAR switches were pre-configured to handle multicast, it was basically plug and play. The management platform also does basically auto recognition, so very easy for our engineers to deploy the system. And it seemed to be, we've also done some tests on another project we're working with, much larger scale, probably up to 145 endpoints. And the test we've done, the configuration, although we need to use a bigger switch, certainly the Zyper 4K product will be very easy to configure from their management platform once we get the Cisco switch set up. But that's a Cisco thing, not a technology thing from the SDVoE point of view. Last reason, future-proof. Right now, the endoscopes are running 1080p. They will go up to 4K. Certainly with this technology, it handles 10-bit HDR, and that's certainly a major benefit. We've been doing some work with some video resellers or manufacturers, It hasn't hit medical yet, but I'm sure it will. So, as I said, very easy deployment for us. It met all the needs of what we needed to do from the user's point of view. The deployment was very straightforward, and we're very proud to work with ZeeVee on doing this work. And we're award-winning. ZeeVee won for Best Signal Product of the Year at the Innovate Awards, and we won for a Best Medical Application. Thank you.